The more honest you are, the funnier you get. And I believe when they say that the best comedy comes from a place that's very honest. Whenever I don't have anything funny to say, I just become as honest as possible, and I'm always surprised about what comes out. Hey, I'm Manny Garavito. I'm a comedy coach, and I help you get back to being your honest self so you can be even funnier. The truth shall set you free, but it can also make you very funny. Every day when we interact with society, we do wear a mask, and that's normal. But some people wear a mask that's so heavy that it prevents them from having fun, or in this case, using their sense of humor. In this video, we're going to pinpoint the things that drain you from either using your sense of humor or the things that make your sense of humor feel draining. Because there's two extremes that we're going to explore here. The first one is when you don't say the things you want to say because you feel like you have to hold up an identity. And the other extreme is when you feel you have to be performative with your sense of humor and it doesn't feel honest. So the first concept I'd like to share with you is identity drifting. As I mentioned earlier, wearing a social mask is totally normal. You don't want to be vulnerable to just anybody. You don't want to show anybody your hang-ups. If you're in a bad mood, you don't have to show everybody that you're in a bad mood. One way or another, we wear a social mask to interact with people. However, there are people that wear that mask and it's so heavy that it prevents them from actually being anchored to who they really are. And when you do this for a prolonged period of time, your identity in social situations becomes completely different than who you really are in character. So here's the visual I made to show you how identity drift occurs. We all have a natural, honest version of ourselves. And of course, the most natural version of ourselves is when no one is around. This is the honest, true us. However, if you create a social identity that is way too much of a contrast from the natural you, because you're chasing either approval or people want you to stay the same, you want to be careful, you want to make sure that whatever you say is polished, or let's say you're not in a good mood and you feel tired. Over time, if you keep doing this, your identity in social situations is nothing like the real you. The more time that passes, the further away you drift from the real you, and being in this position prevents you from using your sense of humor. Picture social situations like one big ocean, and you are this boat here. If you let social situations show you who you are, over time, that identity is going to be nothing like the person that you truly are to yourself. However, there's another side to this. Let's say you are funny and you do make the people laugh, but maybe that identity or how they expect you to make them laugh is outdated and you feel like you've got to perform in order to entertain these people, or they put you in a box. This can be draining as well because you feel as if you outgrew this sense of humor or this identity, but people are really enjoying the fun that you provide when you act this way. So for example, let's say that you were a class clown growing up and your high school friends still expect you to be that way in order to be considered funny. This can also prevent you from being honestly hilarious with yourself. Because when you are making people laugh, you should also be enjoying the process and it shouldn't feel like a drag. In my personal comedy career, I've learned that there is a very distinct place between me and the audience. And when I feel like my sense of humor is falling into some sort of gimmick or a categorization that I don't feel is as enjoyable as it used to be, I always try to find this sweet spot between what is familiar and recognizable to an audience, as well as what I'd like to express as a comedian. I learned this concept from a book called Hitmakers by Derek Thompson, where he says that the people on social media want things to be recognizable. However, they also appreciate it when it's novel. Or the other way around. The audience appreciates when something is done differently, but that is also recognizable. If you'd like to use your sense of humor in a brand new way, try to find that sweet spot. And whenever you do find something that feels familiar and unique, your audience appreciates your sense of humor even more. And finally, on this concept, I'd like to show you how your honesty can be used to your advantage over time by using what I call the laughter loop. Meaning, let's say you do find something that is in the sweet spot between what you like and what your audience likes when it comes to using your sense of humor. Add a little bit more to it. So to show you what I mean through the visualization, let's say you get a laugh on something that you honestly expressed. What else can you explore based on that same topic or idea? Something that can help you dig a little bit deeper or go a little bit further to see where the boundary is on how far this joke or funny concept can go. I wouldn't say this is as linear as a spiral because there will be many factors. This is more like the sixth sense being developed over time. And the laughter loop doesn't just end at stand up comedy. It can go into things like your social media content, where one idea can become multiple videos, or even in your social life, where small talk can go into a fun new direction. So don't leave laughter on the table. If you get a laugh, try to add an extra laugh or an extra detail in order for you to find out what direction you're going when it comes to finding the funny. Remember, when it comes to honesty, some of the funniest stuff comes from that. And there's some people out there that are either preventing themselves from tapping into their natural, true, honest selves. And there's some people that can already get the laughs, but it feels off or draining because they feel like they're doing a gimmick. Both of these extremes are visualized in this video. However, if you'd like to find your particular way on how we can customize this to your lifestyle and your sense of humor and whatever identity you feel you're upholding or that you've grown out of, reach out to me for comedy coaching. Visit MannyGaravito.com. If you like this video, also subscribe to my channel. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll see you on the next video.